Okay, hello, good morning again. I know that some of you are still getting logged in, and we'd like to record these sessions so that if you're not able to join us at the beginning or at the bottom of the hour or what have you, you have the recording that you can go back and reference. We are so excited to have the Port Authority here to speak with us today. I'm going to start off by introducing myself and introducing the team as well. So, as you know, this is what we do on Fourth Friday. We do the workshops for our Doing Business with NYC series. It is a series that is intended to introduce all of you to a variety of agencies in the NYC area so that you can develop relationships in the agency and therefore get more business and do more business in NYC. Today, we have some wonderful members from Port Authority joining us. I'll go through the agenda very quickly. After we all introduce ourselves and we hear from the Port Authority, we're just going to circle back quickly to talk about some other things that are coming up. There is a collective bid that we want to work on. So I think we'll schedule a call that's actually in between this and our next workshop in order to make sure that we can collaborate on that submission. And then we have revisions coming up for Article 15A for the legislation. And we want to review, I think it's Schedule B in addition to that. So I think that that's something that we should schedule separate time for outside of these calls. So just want to make sure that as I put something up, everybody is aware and we can get on to start working on those things because they'll be coming up very quickly. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit, and it's Imani who reminded me about the importance of just talking about the strategy. So I'll talk a little bit about the 4-step methodology and about what these workshops are intended to do. So the purpose of these workshops is for the getting started community, right? Those of you who are getting started in government contracting, particularly for at the city level, now looking to build relationships with agencies so that you can break the ice, essentially, get your first contract, get your foot in the door, or build to something greater. If you started out with something that was a smaller discretionary purchase, be able to build and create a strategy that will allow you to build and grow. The first portion of that, the first portion of the year we spend with market research, right? Where you start out looking at all of the agencies, understanding what they all do, understanding which ones really actually need your services and want to buy from you. And then moving into identifying opportunities where you're selecting 4 target agencies, right? I think one of the mistakes that a lot of folks make starting out in the government contracting space is taking sort of the blanket approach. There are a ton of agencies, particularly in NYC, but if you're looking at government contracting as a whole, there are a ton of agencies that you can spend a lot of wheels spinning if you're trying to target all of them at one time. So we generally tell folks to select 4 target agencies that you know and you can validate are purchasing your services. You can do that using the free resources that we have available to us online, for instance, Mox, for instance, Checkbook NYC, and for instance, some of that information now is pulling into Passport. Use all of those resources to validate which agencies will probably more likely to do some business with you, and build relationships with them so that you can get started and get some business, right? And so that you can be tracking as those procurements come out, but also so that you can be tracking before those procurements come out and you all can be aligned. So we move from there, from market research to identify opportunities, to strategies for business growth, where you're putting together your plan. throughout the whole process, we are meeting with different agencies. Now, we started out just having sort of an agency spotlight, but because there's so much, I think, transition in our city around diversity and around these types of initiatives, our agencies have a lot more stuff to share. So our workshop format kind of flipped from, okay, we're going to be doing education to, well, let's just spend more time with the agencies so that we can understand what their new format is, what their new methodology is. You know, each of our city agencies also got chief diversity officers, so that has changed. Our new administration has also changed the structure of the agencies and how they function. So I think of each of our agencies had a lot more to share in the way of how doing business, how we could do business with them. And so we've ended up flipping the format so that our agencies get a lot more time. So essentially, today is much of the same. You're going to meet with some folks from Port Authority, and they're going to talk to us about doing business with Port Authority. I'm going to start out though by introducing myself and some of our wonderful team members. For those of you who may not have met me, my name is Kiana Beckles. I am the founder of the Black Government Contracting Club. I am also an entrepreneur. Many of us are also entrepreneurs in our own right. My first company is Leverage Assessments, and I started her in 2016. While many of us in the Black Government Contracting Club space are entrepreneurs, that is not the pathway of all Black businesses. Some folks inherit companies. I know that we have, I know that I saw Jessica on here, for instance. I know that she has a multi-generational firm. I know that some folks also acquire firms. So keep in mind that there is diversity in the Black-owned business space. But I'm going to kick it off to each of the BGCC team members to do an introduction. I see Gary, I see Diana, and I see Imani. Would either of you like to go first?
I'll jump in. My name is Gary Johnson. I am the state chair for economic development for the NAACP. We are happy to co-host this with the Black Government Contracting Club. I'm also the founder and CEO of Paradise Express Ferry, which is the only minority certified maritime operations firm in the New York area. And we have been doing these sessions with Black Government Contracting Club, meeting with various city agencies, and we've been very successful with this format, and we look forward to working with the Port Authority to identify opportunities that they have available to our state and our communities.
Good morning. My name is Imani Dawson, and I am the owner of TCC Media. We're an MWBE certified communications and marketing agency based in Brooklyn, New York. I'm also a steering member of Black Government Contracting Club, and it's a pleasure to be here with everyone to really build the kind of relationships that I think we've all agreed, regardless of our sort of level or point that we are in our businesses, that relationships are paramount. And I would just ask that whoever has themselves not muted to mute themselves so that we can hear our speakers. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diana Benjamin. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I am president and founder of New Genesis Pathfinder. We are a business consulting firm focusing mostly on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I was going to say conclusion and inclusion. We actually do look at diversity from a holistic, from the holistic lens, and we focus on economic diversity, spend diversity. We focus on helping agencies and organizations to build out, design, and implement their supplier diversity program, provide policy recommendations and diversity training. We also work with agencies to just build out their outreach and engagement aspect. I am a previous government employee. I previously served as the Deputy Chief Diversity Officer in the City Controller's Office. And in that role, we focused heavily on MWBE spending, how the city spent with MWBEs. And so this is personal for me. This is a passion for me that especially Black firms, we understand that there's a disparity. We know that there are disparities, but our goal here is to really dismantle those disparities and ensure that opportunities are coming into the Black community. So I'm partnering with the Black Government Contracting Club, and I'm excited to be here, excited to work with the Port Authority and ensure that MWBEs and Blacks and minority groups are actually having those access to opportunities. Thank you.
Awesome. And I also see Tim. Tim, do you have a moment to introduce yourself? Hey.
Is it working? Hey, everybody. Good morning. I'm Tim Gamery. Trying to head up. I'm CEO of Elevate Digital Consultancy and a tech firm that is really blossomed out of working in the Bronx and working with small businesses and economic development. That's where I met Kiana, and excited to support and partner with BGCC and with technology to support this work and building community, building connection, aggregating data and information. So the Syngen platform, Synergy Engine, really is designed and being developed to support this work and help us make these connections, surface data set, surface information. So excited to be here and continue supporting.
Yes, awesome. And I'll say that, so for any of you who went to the blackcontracts.org and clicked the join button, you'll get redirected to Syngen, which is Tim's organization, and that's what he is our portal partner. So we're so excited to be able to start building a portal and using that portal to do things like collaborative projects, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit later on the call. Who else? I also saw Karine.
Hi, I am here. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. My name is Karina Paulin. I'm the inaugural Chief Diversity Officer of New York City Public Schools, and we are really focused and priority on increasing MWBE utilization, especially addressing the disparity within disparity of MWBE utilization with Black and Hispanic firms. As many of you know, we are 70% Black and Hispanic students in Black and Hispanic communities, and over 85% BIPOC. And right currently, the utilization for MWBE is in the range of 3%, which is really very low and unacceptable. And then the mayor and the chancellor have made it a huge priority, which is why I'm here to support that initiative and to ensure that we're doing all that we can to, number one, remove the internal barriers, number two, change the policies, the rules, and the laws that we are governed by for contracting and solicitation, and number three, to do really focused work around business development and technical assistance to bring in Black and brown businesses to the table to do more work with the DOE. It's a pleasure to meet everybody.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our guest, Jason.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. My name and my team. My name is Jason Grove, and I'm a senior policy analyst at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey in Government Community Relations. I'm also the manager of the Maritime Community Engagement Center, along with my colleague, Chris Lee. We are thankful to be here today with our team from our Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. as well as our procurement team, who will discuss how to do business with the agency, as well as our supplier diversity goals. We look forward to connecting with you. I represent or manage New Jersey firms who are interested in doing business with our agency. So if you're a New Jersey firm, you're interested in any of our contract and procurement opportunities, or you want to follow after today, please feel free to connect with me. My colleague, Chris Lee, handles the New York side, and I will turn it over to him so he can introduce himself.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Jason. My name is Chris Lee, Senior External Relations Manager for the Port Authority. We're happy to be here, and we're happy to present the information to you. Like Jason said, if you're interested in more information after this presentation, I'm going to put my email in the chat box, and Jason and I can set you up with the right people at the Port Authority to navigate the process. Happy to be here today.
We're going to go ahead and turn it over to our colleague, Dr. Keith Wright, to introduce himself.
Thank you, Jason, and good morning, folks. I'm glad to be here. I think I had some conversations with Gary a while back, I'm not sure, but I am the Director of Business Diversity in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And so my first thing to all of you is I want to make sure that if Jason and Chris haven't talked to you about becoming certified, we want to make sure you get certified. But then we can talk, and I prefer, after the introductions, we go into Q&A. I can answer your questions, but essentially in business diversity, I have three key areas that I'm focused on. That is certification, that is capacity, and that is compliance. And all of this has to do with the thing that it sounds like you are, along with us, passionate about, and that is increasing contracting opportunities for minority women-owned businesses, service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses, and not just a blanket across the board a commitment, but specific commitments to make sure that everybody is participating at the level of their availability. So we do a number of targeted things to really, really penetrate and increase contracting opportunities around our facilities. So I'm gonna stop there and turn it over to my colleague Joanne Spirito in procurement. She can introduce herself, and then I think we can jump into the deep end of the pool with questions and answers. I'm really happy to be here. Thank Jason and Chris for setting this up. So Joanne?
Sure, I'll just introduce myself before turning over to Peter, who's going to give the presentation. My name is Joanne Spirito, and I am the Assistant Director of Procurement for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And Peter, I'll turn it over to you for the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Keith and Joanne. Good morning, everybody. My name is Peter Penaflor, and I'm a contract specialist with the procurement department here at the Port Authority. So I will start by providing you with information on how to register with the Port Authority as a vendor and how to search for publicly advertised opportunities. So if you can go to the next slide, please, Jason. So this is the Port Authority's website's homepage, which is found at panyj.gov. We have the first four columns, air, land, and sea. And on the last column, we have the corporate titled column. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on the link that says doing business under the corporate column there. So you can go to the next slide, Jason, please. So this here is the Port Authority's doing business landing page. And I strongly urge that everybody bookmark this page. On this page, you can find current opportunities. You can find preliminary bid results, a rolling list of awards, and pre-qualified lists. The third column has information for vendors. Also, the vendor resources page in this column contains many helpful instructional and functional documents for your use. The supplier diversity section contains information on certification and capacity building programs, as Keith had alluded to earlier. To visit the PA Procure vendor portal, where you can register as a vendor to do business with the Port Authority, you would go to the vendor portal link right there in the middle. Next slide, please. So this is the vendor registration portal that we call PA Procure. There are helpful links on the body of the main page, as well as contacts. If you have an account, you can log in on this page. Otherwise, if you need to register, you would go ahead and click on register as a supplier. Next slide. So when you click on that link, it will lead you to a search option to where you will type your full legal company name and click search. If no company is found, you will click on the add new supplier link in the bottom to begin the registration process. Next slide. So just some helpful notes here to ensure that you're filling out the form accurately. Make sure not to use auto fill in. All sections with asterisk must be filled out. Where it says on the top, name 2, 3, and 4, do not place the individuals' names in there who work in your company. This space is reserved for longer company names that do not fit on the first line. You also have to select at least one product category or NIGP code in order to move forward with the registration. This portion is very important to have in order to receive alerts for upcoming solicitations. There's also 2 links that take you to apply for certification or professional service firm questionnaire. Just keep in mind, if you click on those links, it will take you to another page on the website. Once the registration has been sent, you'll receive an email asking you to confirm your email address, and you'll have 5 days to confirm your email. Just to note, if you do miss this 5-day window, you will have to restart your vendor registration application all over again. Next slide. Okay, so now we'll move to identifying publicly advertised opportunities. So the Port Authority solicitations are separated by categories of construction, goods and services, professional services, surplus sales and auction, and alternative project delivery. Next slide. So on the doing business landing page, you will click on the category under current opportunities to be able to find these publicly advertised solicitations. Next slide. Once you click on one of the categories there, this is a sample of what you will see. So this one is for construction. Column 1 will have the contract number or the RTQ number, and that will have a hyperlink there embedded that will link you to the advertisement. Column 2 has the due date, and if there's any extensions, that will be stated there. The third column will have a description of the contract. And just to note, if the contract is federally funded, you will see language in there in italics underneath the description. And you can also find any addenda that's posted for that solicitation, which includes changes to the contract, which includes bid due date changes as well. Column 4 will show the solicitation document. And for advertised contracts, it will state if the document's available or pending. For RTQs, the solicitation document in this column will be viewed and downloaded directly from the website. Next slide. So similar to the first column, for goods and services and professional services, you'll have the bid or the RFP number linking to the advertisement. You'll also be able to view the due dates and any extensions applicable, the contract description, relevant language for the contracts that may be federally funded under the contract description, the solicitation document, and the addenda. I would like to highlight under the contract descriptions, you can also find the interested PA certified subcontractors list link. Next slide. So this interested PA certified subcontractors list link allows you to express interest as a potential subcontractor for that project. Next slide. So you're able to generate more opportunities by filling out the interested PA subcontractors form, and the title of the contract or the contract number will automatically fill in, and you just fill out the rest. And if you go ahead to the next slide, it will be listed printable to anybody who utilizes the list, or if the list is distributed, and your firm will be on there highlighting services or goods that you're looking to sub out for this particular contract. Next slide. So moving forward to the Bonfire electronic bidding system. We use Bonfire for the purpose of vendors obtaining bid documents and making electronic bid submissions. Most of our solicitations will be on the Bonfire platform, but we still recommend vendors to go to the PA website to view current solicitations for accurate information. Next slide, please. Once you log into the Bonfire site, you can sort by type of solicitation, and they will be listed under open public opportunities. For those that have been invited to bid for a specific solicitation program, you'll find your bid solicitations under the My Opportunities tab near the top. Next slide. So we'll now go into the procurement process. Next slide. Okay, so there are several procurement delivery models. The ones I'm looking to highlight today is publicly advertised. This is where solicitations are advertised publicly on the Port Authority website and in local and online publications. Our small contracts or discretionary program is where solicitation is designated to be solicited directly to PA certified underrepresented minority and women-owned firms in accordance with Port Authority policy. The small contracts program includes contracts up to $2.5 million for construction solicitations and up to $1.5 million for all other categories. Next, our small business enterprise set-aside program is where solicitations are directly solicited to PA certified SBEs or small businesses in accordance with PA policy. Port Authority policy is to ensure that there is an adequate number of qualified, interested firms in a specific procurement area. In order to grow the pool of available firms, procurement and the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion screens, trains, mentors, and educates firms on how to do business with the Port Authority. In addition, we follow up regularly and hold multiple one-on-one sessions to ensure that firms are on the right track and following through with the next steps. Next slide. So the Port Authority has done a lot to eliminate barriers and continues to do so. First and foremost, the Port Authority listens to people in the industry, and we do this by conducting roundtable discussions with MWBE industry experts and advocates. We have implemented pre-award strategies to increase MWBE participation, right sizing of insurance and contract requirements to better align with scope, unbundling large contracts into smaller contracts to increase opportunities, removal of bid bond requirements on discretionary small contracts program procurements, allowing self-participation MWBE participation credit on construction contracts up to $5 million, and for other contracts up to $2 million. We have enhanced capacity building programs that include Airside Capacity Building Program, the Construction Mentor Protege Program, MWBE Principals Academy, and Construction Coaching Assistance. We look to increase the number of education and training programs, and as well as the number of community engagement centers, outreach and training events held by our partners in government and community relations. Next slide, please. So at the Port Authority, all contracts are not the same. Port Authority facilities are comprised of 5 line departments with requirements unique to each facility. We have path, we have aviation, tunnels, bridges and terminals, port, and World Trade Center. We are a bi-state agency and have New York contracts, New Jersey contracts, and bi-state contracts. Each type has different apprenticeship requirements, sales taxes, and wage rates. Compensation and contracting methods vary, so this is depending on the nature of work and the facility needs. This includes defined work that will include a design, as well as contract drawings and technical specs. Scope not designed in construction or defined in other areas includes work order contracts or as needed work. Compensation includes lump sum, unit price, or a combination of lump sum and unit price and net cost. Federal and grant funding. There could be differences in these types of contracts, including bonding, solicitation, subcontracting and DBE goal requirements, wage rates by America, by American, sole source, and other variables. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one to go through any of this information further, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly. I'll post my information in the chat, and I want to thank you for your time. So with that, I'll hand it over to Imani for questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And I would also like to welcome Diana Benjamin, who will be helping to facilitate. If anyone has any questions about anything that they've heard, please do feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand so that we can incorporate this. I actually have a question while we're waiting. How long does the certification process take when a company is coming without the reciprocal certification that the city and state offer?
So great question. This is Keith Wright. I will take that. I will let me start at the 10,000 foot level and say it takes a lot less time today than it did a year ago. And the reason why I say that, Imani, is there has been a tremendous backlog in the region of folks looking to get certified. And last year, our executive director had us focus on our certification processing, put a laser focus on it, working with our Office of Continuous Improvement. And so what we are working towards right now, actively working towards right now, is being able to establish a key performance indicator that all non-DBE certifications, we will process them within 60 days, meaning that they'll hit our inbox. The applicant, such as yourself, will go through the electronic portal of business to government, fill out all your information, hits our inbox, and then it gets to our analysts, and we are working to have our analysts process them within 60 days. Having said that publicly to you and everyone else, if there are extenuating circumstances where there's business opportunities at the ready and there's a need for services, I encourage folks to reach out to me or Vanessa Gordon, who runs the organization with me, to see if there's a opportunity to expedite. But again, the essential thing about certifications that all of you know is not news to anyone, is we want to make sure you are who you say you are, and so that we don't have any fraud in the system. But we also understand from a customer service perspective, you don't want to be waiting around 10, 12 months in order to get certified. So it's an active process for us. Great question. And we're looking to continuously improve that process.
Thank you so much for giving us some transparency into the system and process. I can say, as someone on the other side, as a vendor, it sometimes can feel like when you apply for things, particularly when we're talking about the procurement space, that it happens in a vacuum, and we don't always get clarity around timing and action in particular. So that that was really important. One of the things that we know about the Port Authority as an agency is that it is in fact very large. And Kiana mentioned earlier, I apologize, that is Brooklyn behind me, which never fails to assert itself when I'm trying to talk. But one of the things that Kiana mentioned is the fact that we like our members to take a really targeted and intentional approach to agencies and departments. Many of those people here are in professional services. So if you do something that is like, you know, accounting or psychological testing or communications, for example, like what's the best way? And I'm, you know, just wondering what kind of advice you guys could give to our members who are looking to like promote their engage around their specific services.
Well, I will start and then I'll ask my colleague Joanne to jump in. It is important to us to hit all aspects of the entrepreneurial business community. So we have need for professional services. We have need for accounting. We have need for DE&I training. And so again, as I said at the outset, you certainly want to be registered as a vendor with us, as Peter mentioned on PA Procure, but then you also want to get certified. And then the next step, I would say, Iman, is doing what we're doing today. Joanne, Peter, and myself, we do tons of meet and greets. And so if you're out there and you don't know us and perhaps we don't know you, what we like to do is, well, tell us about your business. And then if there are areas of opportunity that we are aware of, you know, maybe there's a meet and greet with our Treasury Department and folks there. Peter mentioned that we do go out and get information. We have a monthly roundtable that Joanne and I participate on with the executive director and MWBE, MBE firms. So we hear, you know, what are the barriers? What are some of the concerns? What are the issues? So again, it's having these sort of sessions and learning about you and your offerings that we can figure out, well, how best do we help you navigate the Port Authority? But Joanne, you want to chime in?
Yeah, and so just to add to that, Keith gave me a good opportunity on his last sentence there to navigate the Port Authority. So, you know, I think it's very important when we say we want you to have a meet and greet with us and sit with us personally, we mean that. And we will schedule time to go through all of the Port Authority process with you. It's very important that each agency has its own language. You know, it's very important that you understand the solicitations, the language we use, the acronyms, the line departments, so that you can find relevant opportunities to what you're looking for. It's easier for us to kind of guide you in a direction of where to look if we sit and we talk about your goals and your, you know, what you're looking to do and what services you're looking to offer. You know, there may be services that you provide that you don't, you know, that you're not aware that the Port Authority, you know, purchases or engages in. So we really like to have that, that one-on-one time to really discuss with you what your offerings are. Also, we encourage folks to read the contracts within the, you know, within the area of business that you're doing. So our professional service contracts, whether you're interested in a specific opportunity or not, the contracts are similar. Peter mentioned earlier that they are, you know, there are differences in contracts, but, you know, the core clauses and templates are typically pretty similar. You really want to be able to kind of ask your questions ahead of time and know your, you know, your issues with our contracts ahead of time. You don't want to, the first contract you ever read from the Port Authority, you don't want it to be the contract that you really want or that's perfect for you. You really want to understand the compensation structure and how we're paid and what we mean by certain things. And like I said, I think the most important thing you can do as a firm is just get to know us and let us get to know you. And between procurement and DE&I and GoCore, you know, we're always looking for opportunities for folks that are certified. We have within each one another, we always look at newly certified firms. We keep each other abreast of all the firms that are newly certified and qualified. and share information so that it's always on the mind. I think that's about it for that one. I see how do we schedule a meet and greet popped up. I don't know if I skipped over a question, but I'll just answer that.
No, you didn't. Thank you,
Okay.
Joanne. I actually, I just saw that one come in. So
Okay, good.
Just for your
So
question.
yeah, so you can either, Peter will put his contact information in the chat box, and you can either contact Peter or myself. Peter, if you can put both contact informations in the chat box, and usually it takes about a week or so to get it scheduled, depending upon your availability. We want to be able to, we don't want to take you away from important opportunities if you're working during the day. So if we need to do it a little earlier or a little later, or, even on a weekend, if you need us to do it, please just, let us know that your time. We definitely don't want to take you away from your everyday business and your primary goal, your primary positions.
Wow, thank you so much, Joanne, for that real level of detail, and also just clarity around your goals and the level of support that certified businesses receive within the Port Authority ecosystem. It's very encouraging to hear how invested in the success of your certified businesses that you are. And I would encourage everyone to ask questions. This is a level of access that we are rarely given without being proactive about it. And the people here are really knowledgeable. This is a tremendous opportunity, a huge agency with lots of different kind of work, and a commitment that is really inspiring. Gary, I see you have your hand up, so I'm going to let you ask your question.
Thank you, Imani. This question is for, I guess, anyone on the Port Authority team. Can you share some information pertaining to your annual procurement dollars and some metrics pertaining to MBE awards, particularly as it relates to Black and Latino contracts, just for informational purposes?
Yeah, I will start, Gary. This is something that we as an agency are very committed to, and we don't just talk the talk, but we walk the walk. And so over the last several years, we've done a couple of things. One is we increased our goals from 17% participation to 30% participation, which breaks down to 20% MBE and 10% WBE. We then came back and added another 3% for service disabled veteran-owned businesses. But in terms of what's happening on the ground, we also began to target what we call LBEs, or local business enterprises, in and around our facilities. And so these are big numbers, but they're real numbers. So over in Newark, where we're building a new terminal, just about to open up, the overall allotted budget was $2.7 billion. There's already 500 million spent or with MBEs there. We expect that to top out over $1 billion before we're done. At LaGuardia, which was an $8 billion project that's just about finished, we are still climbing, but our last number was 2.2 billion spent with MWBEs, and a significant amount, I want to say about 800 million spent in the local Queens community. And we just recently broke ground on JFK New Terminal 1 group. We think all in, when that's done over the next several years, that will top out about 18 billion. And so internally, we're looking at how do we make sure that 6 billion goes to the MWBE community. But aside from that, Joanne and GoCorps and ODEI and law, we also, when we look at our disparities studies that we do every 5 years, we said there's a deeper level we need to go beyond MWBEs to look at opportunities for maybe perhaps underutilized firms. And so right now we have what's called, Peter mentioned it, it's called a small contracts discretionary program. And those numbers that he mentioned, 1.5 million for professional services, 2.5 for construction, those are going to firms, a pool of firms that procurement and OD&I will look at and say, okay, these firms are underutilized. Let's direct this solicitation to those firms so they can compete amongst themselves. But at the end of the day, we're increasing the utilization of these firms across the board. And so we are always looking at ways to make sure that we do have equity in our contracting. And we're always open to hear how we might be able to do more. And so very significant numbers. Again, one of the reasons why we wanted to streamline our certification process is we want to make sure that we have firms in our database.
Yes, Mario had an incredible way, energetically. I think we connected.
We want to make sure that we can increase our database with the firms that can participate in the opportunities that come out from the agency.
Keith, I appreciate that overview. That was very helpful. I'm just wondering if you can provide at a later date some more detailed analysis of those numbers. You indicated LaGuardia was an $8 billion spend so far, and $2.2 billion went to MWBEs. Do you know within that 800 million, within the 2.2 billion, how much went to Black businesses specifically? Do you have that data disaggregated?
I don't have it, Gary, at my fingertips, but clearly it's available somewhere in the organization. And if you ask the local folks in Queens, there's a advisory board that works with the Port Authority out in Queens. And so to your question, one of the things that they've asked to do is on the JFK project is to make sure those types of information is on the website.
Great. And final question, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to hog this up. For the small contracts program, are those awarded or are those competitive?
What's the difference that you, how are you?
So there are some programs within agencies where they can just issue contracts to under a certain threshold without bidding requirements. Is this program?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Joanne. Mm-hmm.
Is this program for 1.5 million or 2.5 million? Are those small contracts program reserved for, as you said, underutilized businesses that they then are invited to bid on, and then they bid on that?
Underutilized, qualified, competitively bid. So three ferry firms that's in your space.
Yeah, Keith, I think I understand this question. Yeah. So, Gary, I understand the programs you're talking about. So, so we compete the contracts out to underutilized discretionary contractors that are certified. So sorry. Occasionally we go on a government contract or something like that, and then they're assigned or awarded directly. But for the most part, the purpose of the small business program, the discretionary program, is to compete amongst, for the underutilized firms to compete amongst themselves, to one another, firms of the same capacity, firms with the same barriers or challenges or within their own space. So that, that they can be more competitive and, work together. So that we've been having them, they've been competitive to date. Yes. One thing I just wanted to say just quickly, and I'll put it in the chat and anyone can message Peter and I for more information. I don't want to take a lot of time with it, but we do have an RFI up on our website that I think is very interesting. And I think everyone here could take a read and definitely provide some input for us. It's an RFI, a request for information is what we say, RFI, on access to capital for small and medium-sized MWBEs. We're looking for information from our MWBE partners, from banks or lending institutions, from firms to talk about businesses for access to capital. There's about 10 questions on there, or you can just request a meeting. So if you're interested in talking to us about any kind of programs that you know of, or programs that you've participated in, or programs that you have issues with, or that you've really liked, when it comes to access to capital, credit, mobilization, training programs for front and back office, any of those things, we're really interested in learning more about that space. So I'll put the link to that in the chat box. But if you have more questions about it, please reach out and talk to us, because we're very, very interested in getting smarter in that space, and we really want the RFI to have meaningful feedback.
Thank you, Keith, for your answer, and thank you, Joanne, as well.
Hey there. Sorry, I just wanted to interject because I see that Laura Wharton has a comment from Senator Sanders' office, and I wanted to make sure we address that. Laura, you have the floor.
Okay, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Wharton. I am the Senator's Economic Development Director. The Senator is active with the JFK Redevelopment Committee, particularly, and his focus is on business development, and he's the chair for the Business Development Committee for JFK. So with that, I know I just was in a meeting with Joanne the other day, and we were discussing this RFI. So please go ahead and fill out the this request for information. And there are two options. So where you can actually go and talk to the Port Authority, or you can fill out the form itself, but they want as candid as a viewpoint as possible. So we are encouraging everyone to fill out this, fill out the request for information. But like I said, the Senator is definitely vested in trying to see that more minority businesses get contracts and have the access to capital that they need. So, and also feel free to join us every third Thursday of the month for the new topics of the month. That topic has not been decided yet, but we have our MWBE Empowerment Lunch. So as soon as I find out, I will make sure I get the word out to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing. I want to put in just a quick last call for questions. I know that we are approaching the end of the hour, and this has been a really great conversation with lots of food for thought. I want to encourage everyone in the audience to make sure that you are taking note of the information that's been provided in the chat. I see that lots of people have introduced themselves and left their contact information, and would just encourage everyone to make the most of the relationships that are being forged today. So just kind of a reminder for folks. Is there like and this is sort of a general question, is there a better time, like whether we're talking about like the beginning of the year, or the end of the year, or the end of the fiscal year, for folks to submit like applications, like just generally in terms of the industry and the agency, just in terms of like, Keith, I know you said that you guys do your best to do 60 days. I'm just wondering if you get, if there are times where it's less busy or more busy, or like, whether it's easier to get to meet the 60-day requirement at the end of the year or the beginning of the year for folks that may have not applied as yet.
Imani, I grew up where I was told that if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. So there's no downtime for us. So when you're ready, please submit it, and we will do our best to turn it around and get it to you. We are looking for vendors all the time. So when you're ready, please submit it, and encourage others to submit as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that last encouraging boost. I think we want to make sure that people are taking advantage of the opportunities afforded for procurement. And it seems like you guys are doing a really sort of intentional job at shepherding folks through the process, and also making sure that whatever their level is, you know, if they meet the qualifications, that they have the best possible chance.
Absolutely. I want to make a point, Joanne and Peter, in terms of our going out for firms around our projects. When we talk about 30%, I just wanted to make the clarification that we're looking for 30% across the entire project. And so we're looking for it from design, which brings in the architects and engineers, build, bring in the construction folks, and then look at the operate and maintain to bring in other entrepreneurs. So again, we encourage you to get certified with the Port Authority, and to, as you're doing today, which I commend you on, knowing who's who and where they are. I won't do a meet and greet with anyone without bringing along my procurement folks, particularly Joanne and Peter. And the reason why is, after I tell you about certification and what we want to do, I want them to be able to give you the current opportunities that can direct you accordingly. So we do this as a collaborative from inside the agency to connect with external folks such as yourself.
Imani, if I may, this is Gary again. I know you're going to tell me to shut up soon. It's okay. Let me just say this: Dr. Wright is one of the most helpful people. We have spoken in the past. I think it was about a year, almost 2 years ago, year and a half.
Yep.
And so I will vouch for the fact that Port Authority is very intentional in their strategy for outreach. And I urge all who are on this call who are interested in participating and obtaining contracts from this very important bi-state agency to get on the ball and reach out to them. They will respond to you, and they will contact you and set up meetings. So kudos to them for the work that they do. In some respects, that work has been emulated by some others. But there's a lot of opportunity here. The maritime space is growing with some new industries forming, as we all know. And, you know, I think this is an area that many of our businesses do not look at enough.
Thank you so much for that powerful endorsement, Gary. And for folks who may not have been here at the top when Gary introduced himself, he is, you know, really the key person at the NAACP when it comes to economic development. So to get his endorsement speaks volumes. And I see a couple folks have asked about the recording. It will be made available when this is a Zoom, when it is completed. And I'm going to, with that, turn it over to our fearless leader, Kiana, to say our goodbyes.
Hey, Imani, I just want to say thank you to Gary for those kind words, and to all of you to keep us honest, keep us doing what we should be doing on behalf of the external community. So thank you.
Awesome. And thank you all for joining us today. It is so good. You know, I know that we are all sort of respectively working in our spaces, but these moments where we get to come together and just, you know, get information and also just share with each other, I think are key. Kirana just posted a link for the YouTube channel where you can see the videos for those who are asking about the previous recordings. We work hard to, you know, we are a group of volunteers. We work very hard to make sure that we get the recordings up. We'll make sure to try and get them up for you by next week. And with that being said, I have a couple of more things I want to share with anybody who wants to stay. I know that we're at time. So I'm going to thank everyone and cut the recording. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to make sure that, remember to go to the blackcontracts.org website, click that join today button. The BGCC membership is still free. for Black businesses, please join us. And you will be directed to our partner, Tim's Portal. Please register, put your information in there, and go ahead, Keith. Oh, and if you would like to get in contact with us, you can email, call, you can send a carrier pigeon or what have you. I'm going to cut the recording. Let me see. And we are done in 5, 4. Oh, I'm not the host. Oh, who's the host? Jason. I think Jason.
Yes,
Jason, can you?
I can send the host.
Okay.
Stop.
What are we doing?